Testing, testing. Well, that's good. I just like choked on a bit of water, so I was like having a coughing fit before the stream. I'll be okay though. I just like little sore. How's everyone doing? But hello, Atlam. Hello, Lilandra. Hope you had an amazing week. I have spent, excuse me, every morning this last week. Hey, Swedish Cook, how you doing? Working on this project. I've been deep cleaning my garage and making space for a little workshop. And for a workshop needs workbenches, right? So, kind of what I was working on. Jim, how are you? So I made at least one of them so far, one of the workbenches. Excuse me, my sore throat. So I shared some images of the workbench in progress, and it's pretty much all but done. I have one more thing I want to do with it. But if you want to check out pictures of it, it's in our Discord in the off-topic channel. Up here. Oh, remember, left the cam cover on. And I'm a little bit... There we go. How's everyone doing today? Welcome back to the Damned stream. Which is what, Asmodeus? Oh, I want to add some wheels on the bottom of it. Some caster wheels with brakes. And I have to build another workbench just like that. So I only have one of two that I want to make. Hey, Screw Lost, welcome back. It does. But at least I've got one of them done so far, so that's nice. Once they're both done, I'm going to reorganize my whole little tool space. It's quite fun. I was telling everyone how I've been working on some workbenches. So I got some lumber. Then I cut some lumber. And then I started putting the lumber together. Hey, Nani. Yeah, I couldn't find my goggles. So I just turned my eyes away and prayed, you know? But I've been doing this every morning for about an hour and a half, 2 hours each morning because it gets too hot. See the sun right here? I'm racing the sun because once it's like on the driveway, it's over. Like 100+ degrees right there. Could bake an egg. Anyway, so made, this is the finished product there, and I shoved it in the garage earlier. All it needs is some wheels on the bottom, which they're on order. They'll be here soon. You know, that's that. Anyway, so I basically work on it until it gets to be about 100 degrees, and then I'm like, nope, going inside. But I'll get up and work from about 7 to 10. And that's my first time making that workbench before. I found like a little blueprint online and I was like, okay, I can do this. So mathed out the lumber, ordered everything, started cutting everything. I should have, I don't know. I guess I could have cut it all out and started working on both of them at the same time, but I like that I'm doing them one at a time. So, this map here, I found it on the workshop. I don't know why it says map all of a sudden there, but it is a citadel, but I see it as like a castle. Citadel is... Hey, Bane, how are you? How's life, my friend? I'm gonna reload it so we can see the map name. I don't know why DA does that sometimes. Six floors later. Yeah, I thought it looked pretty cool, and honestly, I kind of felt like castles would be a fun topic of discussion. Now that they're quite possible using the stock room building tools and the roofing tools, I'm excited to see more and more of them pop up on the workshop as they have been. Work until I smell the barbecue bacon. Yeah, basically, except for Mrs. Mac has actually been helping me with a lot of the work. Because more hands make less work. She'll be, you know, holding pieces that I, you know, am cutting, and she'll take the spare piece, or she'll hold things still while I'm screwing them into place, or making sure they're plumb. Measuring stuff. She helps me out a lot, brings me tools. Anyway, it is, we both made it, I would say. I did like a lot of the physical labor, but she was there. Hey. Oh, you know what? My TikTok feed was frozen. Let me refresh it so I can get that. Sorry about that, Dubois. One moment. Ooh, they made a new interface for this. Neat. I've done woodworking off and on my entire life, mainly because I grew up in a cabinet shop. My dad was a carpenter and a finish carpenter, so he made cabinets and did finish carpentry on homes. And so I spent a lot of time in a cabinet shop. That said, my dad passed away and my stepmom kept most of his tools and sold most of them and didn't give them to any of his children. So I didn't get to do much woodworking. I've been slowly buying tools over the years, doing some here and there, you know. But mostly it's just fixing things around the house, right? But I recently visited my grandfather in Reno, like a month or two ago, and he gave me a bunch of his tools. And that there was like a what is it, a radial miter saw or whatever, a miter saw, and a few other like a chop saw, and a bunch of other saws. He gave me a bunch of tools. Anyway, enough to do this project easily. So I essentially was able to, with the tools I had before and the tools he gave me, do this project. And I'm actually, going to do more woodworking now, especially that I have a workbench. I plan to mount that saw on top of it, the radial, miter saw. So once it's mounted on top of the workbench, it'll be much easier to do projects with. I also have a vise I want to mount on one of the workbenches. I have an air compressor. Honestly, like, I've been doing woodworking for years, but the problem is it's only little projects here and there. But yeah, I'm going to start doing things like, no, not like that, bro. I wouldn't be a competition to you by a long shot. You are an amazing carpenter. Wouldn't hold a candle to you, nor would I want to try and take competition from you. If anything, I just want to do my own projects, be able to do stuff. One thing I really want to do is, Asher, this is Dungeon Alchemist. It's a map-making tool available on Steam. This is a map that was shared on the Steam Workshop by one of our map-making community members. And I found it, and I thought, you know what? It's really cool. Let's take a look at it. But we added multi-level building in our last update. Last month. It launched on the 10th of July. And people have just been going to town with it. But as you can see, you can kind of jump between all of the various levels and see different heights. Take away roofing and kind of expose it. But this map is meant, it slices it up and exports it in different layers, so you can use it for printed maps, TV tabletops, projector tabletops, virtual tabletops, etc. Well, one thing, Voracle, that's awesome too about Dungeon Alchemist is you don't necessarily have to be amazing at map making right away. You can start downloading maps. And there are some amazing ones being shared now that are multi-level. You can sort by most popular or most recent. I really enjoy being able to see all the stuff. Honestly, I would have done it sooner, Dubois, but my garage was a disaster. I had this old boat that was just taking up space, and I hadn't used it in years. And I managed to sell it, and then it changed the game. My garage is huge now. So this is like Sims meets Baldur's Gate, basically. Voracle, unfortunately, yeah, you can't see the shared works in the demo because the demo doesn't have access to the maps or assets that have been shared by our community. Hey, Eric, nice to see you here. Appreciate you. On my personal channel, maybe, Chim. Corey, I agree. It's fun browsing the workshop and seeing all the stuff that people have shared. So, like this here there's over 10,000 3D assets that have been shared by our community. Because of the shared assets, you can now do sci-fi and like modern and post-apocalyptic maps with ease. And our asset, library has been expanded by almost 3 times what it is, stock in Dungeon Alchemist. Asher, thank you for the follow, by the way. Much appreciated. Oh, they took off. Well, still. Need my own Karlach token? Honestly, our devs have a relationship with Larian, the dev team there. They've actually hung out with them a couple times and had tours of their office. I wonder, I'm just going to float the idea to see if we could get the whole crew as tokens in DA. That'd be so cool. This map was shared by, sorry, I don't remember the creator's name. Stand by 1 second. It's shared by Jester. Let me throw a like up on that. It deserves one. It's called Citadel Alterain, Dilapidated. We've done some collaboration with the One for All crew, who, are pretty big in their own right, and they've had their characters put into a few games and stuff. But I think it'd be cool if we could get, you know, some of the BG3 characters in DA. If you want to share it on the Discord, it could just be an image or a video. It works just fine. By the way, if y'all have any questions about the map or Dungeon Alchemist in general, let me know. I'd be glad to assist. As the community manager, it's my job to answer your questions. Think of these streams as AMA format, which means ask me anything. As long as you have Dungeon Alchemist related questions, feel free to ask. Look at that little fighting pit underground. This place feels kind of a little morbid. All these cells for people to fight, like be pulled from and fight in the center. You'll look over the fence and give me sagely advice, like Mr. Wilson from, what was it? Home Improvement. Or I guess also kind of Dennis the Menace too. Hey, I like that secret. It's a nice way to fit it in there. Just put in all these extra spots so it looks normal with the pillars. Smart. Anani, oh gosh, just make sure you get it done on time. Just make sure you get it done on time. Yeah, he was a massive Home Improvement fan. In fact, we recorded all the episodes on tapes. I still have a bunch of the tapes somewhere. But yeah, Dissonance, you hit it right on the head. He owned a big cabinet shop that, like, he was building cabinets for a bunch of like these home manufacturers, and he was contracted with them to do, you know, several homes a year. And then he'd also do a bunch of finish carpentry and then work on his own. But his shop was huge. And honestly, he absolutely loved Home Improvement. That's funny though that you say that. That's the reason I watched it, was because of him. Right, Bane? Pretty much everyone told Tim it wasn't a good idea. Tim wasn't good at making decisions. He's kind of the, like, a prime example of failing upward. He didn't know how to use tools, but was like the host of a TV show about tools. By the way, the TV show was within the TV show, so it was like a meta TV show. So they would like film the TV show within the TV show and have an audience within the... Yeah, it was kind of funny and interesting. But he like was awful at home improvement in general. He'd often like get in fights with his wife and his kids. He was horrible at working on cars, horrible at carpentry, but yet he somehow like would do all of it and get hurt all the time. That was part of it. Does Dungeon Alchemist have sci-fi? Not as a stock feature, Nerdvana, but we do have a stock feature called the Asset Importer, and it's supported by Steam Workshop, where our community has imported over 10,000, well, shared over 10,000 assets and over 12,000 maps. Now, there are hundreds of sci-fi assets now, thousands even. So, yes, it's possible to build sci-fi. Oops, I typed something wrong. Sci-fi. But it does require you build stuff by hand. Like this map here is one of my favorite sci-fi maps. And a great thing about finding a map on the workshop is if you download the map, it'll prompt you to download all the assets on it as well. So you can essentially download all of the stuff that was used in this map and then use it in your own maps. So stock, there is not a sci-fi theme. Yes, there are ways to add assets of all types, whether you make them yourself or source them, you know, through Creative Commons shared assets or assets you purchase that can be used in this way. You can also download the hundreds available on the workshop. Now, creating maps by hand is a little bit harder to do with those assets than just the stock, you know, generation of environments and rooms that we offer, because our primary aesthetic is fantasy. Once we leave early access, though, which is we have, you know, 4.5 major updates left. After we've finished those updates and delivered on those, then we will be offering optional expansions. Sci-fi will likely be one of them. I'd imagine sci-fi, cyberpunk, modern, post-apocalyptic, a few different things. So Dissonance, I hope that answers your question as well. I was answering two people's questions simultaneously. How you doing, Highland Lass? But as you can see here, there's like lots of sci-fi maps. Some are kind of mixed in with some other ones that might have similar names. But you can download any of them, and then once you download them, you essentially have one that you can use the assets from as your own. Or, like I said, search sci-fi on the asset browser, which does find quite a bit, but not everything. Floors, walls. There's 20 plus pages of assets. 1,300 assets at least, so quite a bit. That's like more than we had at like launch, I think, as stock assets. Anyway. About a year an update is not a normal occurrence. In fact, most updates should be about, I would say, between 4 and 8 months going forward. The demo is only a small slice of the overall pie of Dungeon Alchemist, Nerdvana. Hey, by the way, hello, Cow. How are you doing? So with Dungeon Alchemist, there are 12 environmental biomes. You only get access to one of them with the demo. There's dozens and hundreds of room types. You only get access to make a tavern in the demo. There is thousands of stock assets, and you only get access to like several hundred in the demo. So yeah, the demo only gives you access to a very, very small piece of the overall pie, including access to Steam Workshop, the assets and maps shared there, an improved asset library, you know, things like that. But it is a very fun tool. So I hope, you know, with time, it'll be better for those that are interested in things like sci-fi and modern. Hey, thank you, Cal. I actually didn't make this. This was made by one of our community members, and I was just highlighting it by sharing it on the stream, because I really love to showcase all the cool things that our community finds, or our community makes and shares. I wouldn't even say inventive anymore. You can just start making sci-fi maps if you just download several hundred assets. There's some stock assets that work pretty good in sci-fi environments too. I mean, depending on how sci-fi works in your world, you know, it might have like that kind of Western meets sci-fi film feel like Firefly, or it could have Middle Ages meets sci-fi like Stargate. You know, or even, you know, ancient Egyptian meets sci-fi like Stargate. There's lots of crossover in sci-fi. It tends to breach into lots of different times too. So ultimately, I think depending on your environment, if you need 100% sci-fi, it's possible, but you just have to build everything by hand and build up a good library of assets to do it with. Are you playing in person or online, Nerdvana? Cal, that's the way I treat it too. Just do a Stargate episode. right? Honestly, when you have like sci-fi meets fantasy like this, it's basically Stargate. Like especially the later seasons of SG-1, they really started going to like Camelot-esque places, in person and online. If you're playing in person, DA Dungeon Alchemist is great for in-person play on like a TV tabletop because you can enable the grid, you can move between levels, and you can put their tokens on top of the TV, so makes it kind of neat to, you know, explore. That being said, when you're online, you definitely want to use a virtual tabletop like Foundry or Roll20, Fantasy Grounds, etc. Drew Lost, there's actually some discussion about a campaign stream. I've been waiting for the devs to get back in the office, and then we're going to have a serious discussion about turning DA into an ongoing kind of like expanding DA streams to not just be map making and showcasing maps, but also having a campaign featuring Dungeon Alchemist maps and maps from the community as well. And then we would have, you know, maybe the devs and stuff would occasionally be guests as like NPC or player characters. Thank you, Nirvana. I'm excited to hear how it goes. Stargate episode 200 is really funny. Actually, I just watched it last night because I've been in a rewatch with the missus. We are the Furlings. We've been wanting to meet you for so long. Destroys their planet within 30 seconds. Honestly, yeah. I watch Stargate a lot, actually. Too much. It's one of the shows we have on rotation. It's like one of our comfort shows in the house. I don't know. I don't necessarily like binging new media because most of the new media out isn't that great. There's a few shows that I like, right? But overall, yeah. But there's a lot of older shows that I have on my home server, and we'll kind of cycle through them, you know? Firefly is great. We watch that. We also watch a lot of Venture Brothers and Futurama. We have a few different shows we enjoy. Oh, we like What We Do in the Shadows a lot. Find a couple other castle maps. Shall we? This one looks cool. There's a new season that's like just came out or coming out soon. But it's like after that it's canceled again. I don't know. I don't know if it'll be coming back after this. But I was excited that we got 3 more seasons. That's all they were contracted for, but I wasn't holding out hope they would have more beyond that. You know, I like Stargate Atlantis and Universe, and I love the Stargate movie. Honestly, Universe is one of those shows, it grows on you, and it also starts slow and gets better, but so did Stargate SG-1. Arguably, the cringiest and kind of worst episodes are in the first season, and it only gets better beyond there until later in the like late seasons. You know, I have mixed feels about Rick and Morty. Like I do like it, but also I don't know. Like I'm not sure how I feel about the recent seasons. I like the first, 2 or 3 seasons a lot. You know, let's see. I really liked Rick and Morty a lot, but Rick was always just like beating me up and making me die a lot. I don't know if that was any good. I haven't done a Morty voice in a while. Azuma, hi, are you coming to make terraces in this castle, for example? At the moment, I'm showcasing assets or maps from the workshop, but if you want to know how the terraces were done in this castle, I could definitely explain it. So, for instance, these lower level ones like this, right? This was done using the room tool and going to the balcony setting. Let's see which one they used. Rough stone was the one they used. So, just by looking at the room type there, I could tell. So balcony, rough stone, and what this particular creator did, here, I'll add a balcony on the level above. They kind of drew out something like this, right? Theirs was much larger, but you'll get an idea. And then they pulled in the edges like that, right? And then when you generate a balcony, this one is connected to like windows and a door, but you get the idea. This one's floating on nothing, but you can attach them to the building at certain levels. Right there. I don't know where that staircase. You also, remember when you're generating a room, you don't have to use the balcony tool. It's just really convenient. But you can actually tell the AI settings when you're generating rooms, for instance, to say no objects, no doors and windows. So it could just be walls and floors. So that's an ideal for a balcony type situation too. Or a terrace or a mezzanine. And that's exactly what these upstairs exterior spots are. They're just, oh, she did it as a balcony. Never mind. Huh. If you generate a room without, if you get rid of the ceiling on it or you have, no doors and windows, it can essentially be, a balcony, a terrace, walkway, whatever. I honestly really want it to happen, Screw Lost. It's not so much a matter of like if, but when at this point. I really do think it will happen. I think it's just everything has to fall into place and like everybody has to be back in the office. Our team was rather like they did a lot of work leading up to this update and the devs kind of scattered their time off. So it's been kind of hard to have them both back and like schedule a meeting. So once they both get back, like I said, should be rather easy to make this work. I spoke with one of them about it. They were really interested. So I think it's going to happen. This map is beautiful, though. Great example of a castle. This part back here is really cool with like the pit underneath the terrace or like the fort structure. Me too. I think they're getting a well-deserved holiday. Like this last update took pretty much a year's worth of development to get out. And so I think they deserve some time off. You know what I mean? Goodness, this thing is insane. I took a week off right before the update because we had a delay in development. I was planning on the update and I was going to take my time off. And then it kept getting delayed. And I was like, well, now that I know it's getting delayed till this point, can I take a week off before to kind of mentally prepare for all the stuff that's going to happen in the, the weeks leading up to the launch? And they're like, yeah, go ahead. Because like development, I can't do a whole lot in the weeks leading up other than testing and like on my end. So I took a week, went and visited my grandfather, hung out with him. It was very fun to see him, chat with him, hear his stories, and catch up with him. And then I came back refreshed, re-energized, and made a bunch of videos, did a bunch of streams. We did the launch. I stayed because I want to provide support and answer questions, post-launch. I was going to stay, a few extra weeks, and probably I was going to work a month or two post-launch before I took any extra time off, other than like my day or two a week. So because my work schedule is a little bit different than theirs, mine is vastly different than everyone in the office. I was able to take my time off before the update. Anyway, worked out. This looks like a hellish version of Disenchantment. Phasma. Unfortunately, that isn't something in the map browser yet. But one thing I can help you with there, if you sort by most recent, there was about 11,000 maps when the update launched. So most of the maps that have been published since the update are likely multi-level support. If you sort by most recent, very indicative of, that. Most of them are multi-level, as you can tell from the images. There will still be a few small, older legacy maps that were published after the update. Excuse me. Because, I'm sure many of you will work on a map and don't finish it in a day. It's something you finish, over, several days or several sessions. We didn't actually stop development. We were always developing. There hasn't been a break in development this entire time. So I want to clarify that. The last update took longer to develop than anticipated. The last two updates. One, we had to do a Unity migration, which added an extra month and a half onto our update time. And the second update, so the one with the Unity migration was Magic. And then the first Fun with Objects update took about 4 months longer than we anticipated, mainly because the devs wanted multi-level and roofing to feel natural and easy to use and as simple and straightforward as possible. And the early iterations of it weren't there. It was cool, but the first iteration of roofing was only flat roofing, and there was very limited roofing options, and it was buried deep in this menu, 3 menus deep in this area. When I first played with it, I had a bunch of feedback for the devs, and I'm pretty sure I was part of the reason it got delayed, that initial feedback. But at the same time, they wanted it to be something they would be proud of and y'all would be happy with. Does that make sense? There is still some bugs to work out. The roofing still needs some tweaking and fine-tuning. It's not perfect, right? We know it'll get better, though. The first iteration of any build we offer, especially in early access, we try to get it really solid, but then we do some patches to it. Isn't this awesome, Chim? And honestly, I'll lump Ziggurats in with castles, because they're essentially the same kind of thing. Superstructure. Unity updates, yeah, we had to essentially, we hit a ceiling with the amount of objects that we could have present in our build. When you have a build in Unity, like a video game, you usually have levels, you load in instances or levels, right? And in parts of the levels are even sliced into portions of levels, right? Loading sequences. So you often don't run into a object limit because everything is split down into levels and smaller categories, but everything in a map is one massive level. Like, it's one massive thing, you know? And so all the objects, all of the doors, windows, walls, floors, everything surpassed the limit that Unity had, and we had to migrate to an updated version to get past that. And by the way, that Unity migration actually made it so we won't have to worry about that issue for like 1,000 years, because it's like to the trillionth amount of objects now. I mean, what's stopping you from putting a green object on a flat roof right now, Tabstar? You totally could do it right now. Just grab one of the abstracts that are a flat green one, and then just disable collisions and raise it up to the point you need it to be, wherever the roof happens to be. And then these, you can insert an image. Shows a red sign with a cross across the top. What do you mean? Inside the object menu, says collisions. You turn it off. And then you can raise and lower pretty much any object. I'd say 99.9% of objects at that point can be raised and lowered. When you disable collisions, you can also scale objects far beyond or below their normal capacity. The only exclusion would be objects that are locked on this corner to begin with. And on top of that, when you disable collisions, you can merge objects together. So objects that normally wouldn't allow you to merge them together can be merged together. So disabling collisions is how you will make this work. But the green objects here, if you look on this UI here, there's this little image with a gear. If you click that, it loads up our web page, but it shows these templates. These are all of the templates for the abstract objects. Each one of them has a slightly different template, but they're all the same size of image. If you look at these images, notice they're all the same image on the back end, but what on top, the green part, the safe area, is what matters. So each image is 1024 by 1024 pixels as a square, but then this green area is the important spot. So for instance, the whole green area is the customizable plane for the square ones, but the circle one, just this center area is all you need to worry about. So what that means is you would essentially want to pair it with an image with similar dimensions or fits inside of that space. So you can make like magic circles, and I mean, you can insert whatever you want into these. I did a custom like snail thing before we had the asset importer. So this should help you out quite well, my friend, as long as it's on a flat roof, yes. If it's on an angled roof, it would have to be a 3D asset you import through the asset importer and make custom, fortunately, which I can't provide much guidance on. That's kind of the benefit of the stream. Dungeon Alchemist has so much to it, and it's designed to be easy to use, but there's lots of like advanced little aspects of it that you might miss if you skim over things, or you know what I mean? And these streams are designed to teach you all those advanced like build techniques, tools, tips and tricks. I also would encourage you, if you want to learn more about Dungeon Alchemist, you can check out the Cartomancer Chronicles, our weekly newsletter. I put a new one up every Monday. And if you look at it, there's often, you know, cool new assets, upcoming events, previous winner of the Dam Challenge. Congrats again, Lilandra. You can actually subscribe to the Cartomancer Chronicles by checking this box. And every Monday, when the new one's updated, the next time you load up DA, it'll be available like this, and then you can read it. But I'll often include like tips and tricks and other stuff to help you. You can actually go through and check the archives, like hundreds of them. But there's often tips and tricks that are very helpful. Weird. No, it just did that on its own. That is really weird. Let me see if I can fix that. Yeah, it's really random that it's doing this. It's like my capture card just freaked out. I just had to restart the capture card. I don't know what did that. That's really strange. By the way, every update we release always has new assets, like hundreds of new assets. But the asset importer and the shared assets from our community is like made that even like there's like what 6,000 stock assets in the asset menu. But you pair that with the workshop, you essentially almost triple your capacity for assets. And I wouldn't just go download all of them because some of them are not that well optimized as compared to our stock assets. And also, the more assets you download and subscribe to, like if you're subscribed to like several thousand, we notice it can affect your performance with DA. So what we recommend is only subscribing to them as you need them. But it's still nice to have them available at your fingertips. What I will do, screw Lost, when I want to unsubscribe from a bunch of them, you can actually unsubscribe from all. I go through and do it like once a week because I end up opening like 20 to 40 maps a week or more, and that's tons of assets, and it just starts slowing down my computer. I wouldn't say not guaranteed to be safe. Just some of them are poorly optimized. There's nothing wrong with them. It's not like you're going to get a virus from them. They're all safe in that regard, but they just aren't. Some of them are really big and run really poorly, so it wouldn't be a great idea to download it. So what I do is I'll go into the workshop and through Steam, notice I'm here clicking on DA, click workshop. And then over here, it shows your like image of your profile, and you could click subscribed items. And you can unsubscribe from them one at a time here if you want, which is really quick. Or you can unsubscribe from all. Oh, yeah. Commercially, gotcha. The DA stock assets, any ones that are built into Dungeon Alchemist are fine. And it's really easy to tell at a glance if an asset is stock or not. When you're browsing the menu, if you've downloaded any, they'll have this icon on them, this little download thing with the down symbol in a cloud. So you can see that and know, oh, that's a non-stock asset. Don't want to use that in this commercial map. But if it's any of the other assets, then you're fine. And if you don't download any assets from the workshop, then you're fine as well. That helps you tremendously. Where's Tabstar talking? Am I not seeing them chat? Where? YouTube? Huh. Oh, there it is. There it is. I see it now. Huh. If that ever happens, be sure to report it, Tabstar. You can report it in our Discord or through Dungeon Alchemist. You can go to the feedback menu and click report bug. If you do it from the map you are on and fill out a really good summary of everything that happened, it'll send a copy of the map to us and we can test it out. Hey, John Doom. How you doing, buddy? Welcome back. I am well, actually. I've been rather busy. I was telling people earlier, I've been building like a workbench I've been building like a little workshop space in my garage. Because like all of my tools were just shoved all over my garage wherever they would fit. Because I didn't have a lot of space, and I recently got rid of a bunch of stuff in there. And now I have more room, so I want a little workshop, but I need workbenches. So I essentially was looking at like buying one or building one. I thought I'd rather build one. I'd rather have the satisfaction of building it. So I found a blueprint that I liked and got all the materials and started building it. This thing is insane. Rev did an amazing job on this. Hey, see you later, Screw Lost. Excuse me. So that's kind of what I've been working on in my spare time. Oh my gosh, my next D&D session is only 8 days away. Super hyped. We only just had our last session like 8 days ago, or like 6 days ago or something. Basically, very lucky to have 2 sessions within a month. Because normally we only have 1 a month. Alrighty, let's go find another map to look at on the workshop. Wanna find a castle? Mansion O'Doom. Oh, actually, there is this other thing that makes it hard to make pathways. Like, be nice to have tile floor textures as a painting feature for the ground. Have you tried using the room tool? Because the room tool is really good at actually making roads and paths as well, but you've got to configure it correctly. Dang, John, sounds like you've been very busy. So the room tool, if you go into the room tool, if you notice here in the top corner, you can actually configure a room to generate without any walls or objects. You uncheck these settings here, right? Then you can generate a room without walls, without anything except for floors. So then you could just pick any room type, doesn't matter, and then generate it. So if there's a tile you like, this is ideal, like I said, for making roads, because you can bend, make like curve stuff. I'm just going to show you a quick little demo. And because I generated that as the alley type, alleys are usually roads with 3 walls. So the floors are more often than not something that looks like a road. And you can use any of the floors in here. So you could go in and find the tiles if you want. Change it all to tile. At this point, it could be whatever floor type you want. It could be natural, so you could have like a grass path through a wooded glen. That makes sense? So for less flat surfaces, you would use like the terrain tools. Like this one here is a great kind of paved instance, and if it was less flat, it'd be all over it. But with time, this will expand and have more options. You didn't really clarify that you wanted it all over a bumpy surface, so I showed you roads and paths. Let's see here. Is there any way to make the columns go up automatically? I tried putting them down a little bit. Sometimes they just go up infinitely. Is there a way to not make the columns go up? So the columns will go up and fit the space they're inside. So if you start vaulting the room, they'll automatically fit that space and go up to the top. That's how they're designed now. They're dynamic. Unfortunately, I don't know of a way to get them to stop or be a certain height. I mean, if you vault from floor 10 to floor 20, the pillar should go all the way up. But if there's a floor between that pillar at some point above it, like a ceiling, if it hits a ceiling, it'll stop. Does that make sense? If there is a space between floor 10 and floor 20 where a pillar can fit and go all the way up to it, it will. Like if there's a hole all the way up, then it will. But if it hits a ceiling at any point, it'll stop. Gotcha. Ugh. All right, find us another cat. Open assets, no maps. Hey, Smokey the Facts, how you doing? It has been a moment. What you been up to? Five pages. Fortress Castle. I'll let it pass. I think it's not that simple as just allowing uploads. If it were that simple, we'd have tons of terrain textures already. There's a limitation in our terrain tool, and that's part of the reason there's only so many terrain options per biome. So we either would have included that already or added way more by now if it wasn't a limitation or a problem. The terrain tool essentially needs to be remade from the ground up, and the devs plan to do that at some point. And when they do, I think that will probably fix a lot of issues with it. But one thing you may want to consider is our next update will be including the I'm trying to remember the name of it now. It's essentially a decal tool where you can place stamps and images on top of any surface, including terrain, walls, floors, other objects. So adding patches of snow to a forest, like seem like it's been melted and there's only a little bit left, or maybe footsteps or piles of leaves or your own custom terrain. Excuse me. I do hope that in the future, both the decal tool and the changes to the terrain tool will make, you know, customizing the terrain much more simple. Sadly, the decal tool was actually intended to be in the last, like the first half of the Fun with Objects update, but they found some bugs in it and wanted to wait and work on it some more and finalize it before they released it. I love finding little, like, I think almost anytime someone adds underground, it's almost always nefarious. Man, it seems like every time you find an underground area, it's like definitely has something nefarious going on. I don't know if any object would prevent it or if it actually has to be like a floor or ceiling. But you could try an invisible transparent, see if it works. Like a transparent, abstract. So you place an abstract plane, just put an abstract plane above it. That would be the easy way to tell. Yeah, unfortunately, I think a floor is the only way. Like a ceiling above it that it would stop on. This is pretty cool. I don't think an object will stop it, Atlan. I think it has to be a ceiling. Oh. I might need a cup of coffee. Running on fumes at the moment, so to speak. No, I wouldn't say I'm tired. I just need a boost because of all the work in the workshop this morning. Crawling all over, drilling holes, driving screws, cutting things with saws. Tabstar, can you elaborate on your question there? I'm not sure what you mean. All I will say is I actually prefer to just leave collisions off because it's more fun to build with it off. You have more options. You can merge objects together and kind of overlap them into like new and like unique objects. Whereas normally they'd be like, you can't do this. This is a bad thing, right? So I could have these cells right next to each other or an extra set, and it's where they won't like get close to each other, right? Now I can merge them, and these are probably a bad example, but you get the idea. You can do this with rocks, bushes, trees, all sorts of stuff. Building materials, like in the structural menu, which gives you a lot of functionality. It's essentially a master switch for all objects in the menu and all objects on screen. Once you've disabled collisions, collisions are off for all of them. If you turn them back on, they're back on. Yeah, it'll just stay off. But remember, if you open up another map, you may have to turn it off again. Each map has its own settings. Basically, when you disable collisions, you enable the fun. Maps are a lot easier to manipulate and make when you have collisions disabled. There is still a few objects like this one here, for instance. You see how it has this little no symbol? The circle with a line. The universal symbol for you can't have this. Usually you see it with a cigarette. So, colliders, the initial intention was the devs wanted assets to be a certain size where they were really easy to see at any like height, because typically your maps are exported in a top down and you want to make out what you're looking at here, right? So when you start resizing things willy-nilly, you may undersize them and make them underwhelming in the export and not really visible to your players. Does that make sense? But yeah, I like disabling colliders because of it does three things. It allows you to essentially rescale items without any impunity. You can upscale or downscale as much as you want, unless the object has this symbol on it. Then it cannot be scaled. When you disable collisions, you can raise and lower objects, right? So you can select the object, it'll have this little arrow on it, which allows you to raise and lower it. And then lastly, you can merge objects together into like new and unique objects. So let's say you wanted to merge all these brush together into another piece of brush. So it's a much more dense piece. You do that. Or rocks is one of my favorite things to do that with. So if you go to the nature menu, you have like stones. The stones, there's only a handful of options of stones, right? Like 60 to 100 stone options. But if you take, say, 2 of them and merge them like this, now it's a new, unique, kind of different stone. Becomes a whole new different thing. That's what I love about the collision menu, like the collisions being disabled. Atlam, what are you laughing at? What are you laughing at? No laughing aloud here. Just kidding. I hope I make y'all laugh sometimes. My face is quite funny. It's a combination of laughing at me and with me. Nets and park stuff. Man, I'll be honest with you. I didn't even I don't think the devs considered park items for this update. Mainly because I wouldn't even consider it like an encounter area, but you know what? Everywhere should be an encounter, right? So yeah, I mean, we definitely need more stuff like that. There was some school items added, but it's mostly interior, like the stadium seating for like a study hall or whatever. Oh no, Smokey. I'm back. Item police is quite funny, actually. But one thing I can recommend, Tabstar, yeah, make some items, import them through the asset importer, share them on the workshop so others can use them. Oh. Oh, you don't have a PC at the moment? No, Smokey, what happened? Your PC die or? I really like this build. That, and I'm sure there's probably like a duty or a tax when you move across country lines with an item like that, huh? That's a bummer, Smokey. I'm sorry. Where did you move to? Ugh. All right, I'm gonna go talk to Mrs. Mack and see if she can hook me up with a cup of coffee. Cup of coffee. Oop of coffee. Possibly. We are currently staying in Mexico, though. Customs was super easy. I'm just saying I can imagine it'd be a pain with a full PC, like a desktop PC, right? But now it's like, instead of moving with a PC that's 50, 60 pounds, you're moving with money in your pocket. Easier. This one's really pretty. Something else. What do you think, Jim? It looks good, huh? Plan to eventually build it back up, still have the CPU and GPU, and can make something smaller. Nice. It kind of does look like the Agrabah castle a little bit, huh? Especially with these keyhole windows. Because there was literally a scene where they took a tower from the castle of Agrabah and Jafar flung him away, him and Aladdin and the monkey and or Abu was his name, and the magic carpet. And then he had to like survive, but on his street smarts again, because you know he didn't have all his wishes and his magic carpet was frozen, and he ended up saving them both by like waiting for it to roll at him, and then he like rolled into the keyhole spot as it rolled over him, the whole tower rolling down over a hill. I don't know if anyone remembers that as vividly as I do, but Aladdin was like one of my favorite shows growing up as a kid. Anyway, it was my first and favorite Disney movie. I think honestly, you know, I'd watched a bunch of Disney movies before that came out, mainly because my mom was like a Disney mom, so we had like all of the films, like movies that came out well before I was born, movies that came out right around the time I was born. I really loved The Cave of Wonders. Yeah. The Cave of Wonders is pretty cool. It was fun in the video game too. Like Aladdin for SNES or Sega Genesis was a fun game. So you know I'm no longer going to be talking as Tab. Oh, okay. You have multiple accounts. Gotcha, Tabby Pearl. Good to know. Thank you. Let me know. You know, that stunt's been done a ton of times, and it fell down like flat on him, right? I think it was Buster Keaton, and they had to like get insured to the nines to do that stunt. But they've done it a bunch of times over the years. They actually did it in Arrested Development, but the one in Aladdin is very unique because the thing is rolling down the hill, and then he like jumps into the hole on a freezing, frozen snow tundra hill as it's rolling past him instead of it just falling flat. You know what I mean? So it's kind of cool, but it is animated, of course. And it was also Buster who did it in that scene, if I remember. So I think it was a tribute to Buster Keaton having Buster do it. If you want to see what types of maps I'm making when the issues of Alchemist come up, they'll be live sometimes. Do you stream under the Tabby Pearl name? This thing is beautiful. Oh, excuse me. Come soon. I need it. You know what you can do, Tabby? Are you in our Discord by chance? Check that. I was off yesterday and I was not able to look at it. So we have a section in our Discord, DA self promo here. Well, first off, you should check out our Discord. It's a place for all our community members to kind of hang out and share their maps. You can share assets that you've posted. You can get support. We have a question forum and a support forum. We have areas to just kind of hang out and chat, and we share the latest information about our updates here. It's a very cool server. We only do like an add everyone once every maybe 6 months to a year, but you don't get a ton of spam either. But in our Discord, we have the self-promo section, and if you're streaming Dungeon Alchemist or sharing a Dungeon Alchemist related content of any kind, you know, if you're a Patreon creator or sharing a Dungeon Alchemist video or a stream, then you can share it here before you can post it here as well, so people in our community can check it out. But that's how I often find streamers, is they'll share their streams here, and I'll go follow them and try and watch them when I can. What is that? Is the Leon Lee A4H2O? That sounds like a crazy cool case. I've never heard of it. But yeah, as long as it's Dungeon Alchemist related content, you can share it here in the self-promo section. This is my favorite cup. So the coffee cup has a barrier between the cup itself, where the like liquid is, and the outside. There's an air barrier you can kind of see between. But when you touch the outside, it's not hot at all. Probably should have tested it. Holy cow, it is quite hot though. Oh. Anyway, let's move this Dungeon Alchemist stuff. Man, I need to stretch after the stream, pop my upper back and neck. Start from the bottom, huh? Or way to the top. Oop, I double click. Seven floors above ground and 2 floors below. 9 total. Quite cool. Just looking at it, taking it all in. It's pretty cool. You got this defensive platforms up at the top here, right? Wyvern defense tower. Then if you go down here, a little launch point where there's cages and stuff. So I imagine they probably have like griffins or something to help them fight against the wyverns. Or is it wyverns that are the defense? Confusing. You could be defending against wyverns with these crossbows, though. I think it'd be fun to fight up every level of a tower, because each level is like an encounter on its own, and not everyone has to be a fight. There could be like traps and puzzles to get through. Goodness, you could fight up every level too if you wanted to have the defenses of sorts. know why those little tiles are there, but whatever. Twitch, are you still there? It looks like chat's like frozen right now or something. Speaking of that, Atlan, thank you. By the way, y'all, if you're planning on participating in the Dam Challenge, our ongoing map making contest, the next theme is Tower. So you use Tower as inspiration. You make a map of any shape or size, and you submit that to the Dam Challenge channel on our Discord, which is located here. Says Dam Challenge. You can submit your map. Make sure you follow the rules pinned at the top of the server. At least one screenshot, the map's DAM file, a link to the map on Steam, and the Dam Challenge theme somewhere in the map description. Map description, not map title. So, you know, when you're describing the map on the description or in the description on Steam, make sure you put the Dam Challenge somewhere in the description. That way, when I search Dam Challenge on Steam, I can find your map. Anyway, pretty cool. Oh, Abby Pearl shared something. I'll have to check it out after the stream for sure. I won't mark it yet. That way I can remember to check it out later. Not enough wonk. Oh, that hurt my head. I'm sorry? We don't have enough wonky for you? All right, y'all, I need to take a quick break. I'll be right back. Maybe 3 to 5 minutes. Hey, Stormy. Oh no, you just got here right when I was stepping away for a minute. I'm good. How are you doing? What's new with you? Finished session a half hour ago? Nice. Hope it was fun. Anything cool happen? What's your favorite thing to use on Dungeon Alchemist? Currently, I think one of my favorite aspects of Dungeon Alchemist is being able to make a multi-level strike, which is a fairly new feature. It's only been out just a little over a month and 5 days. Small rat getting just clutch rolls. How was fighting a megalodon? You have a CR what 1/4 creature versus a CR 14 creature. What is the megalodon CR there? That's insane. That's so funny. Oh, P2. Okay, got you. I'm still confused though. Like, I mean, it could happen. The Megalodon had really bad rolls, right? It can happen to the best of us. Here, Nani, let's pull up your alchemist headquarters because it's kind of a cool castle-looking thing. Ah, action economy is The economy you should invest in, always. Okay, I'm gonna run that quick break. I'll be right back. All right, a quick little video, a Dungeon Alchemist themed video.
You stand before the long, dark road to the fabled realm of Goyak Ta, and before
What do we see?
I don't know, a goblin.
I kill him.
But before she does, I, Gilliam of Firth, demand to know the goblin's name.
Hi, my name is Woblin.
Where do you live there, Woblin?
I don't think that's relevant.
Well, but I, Gilliam of Firth, demand to seek the goblin's abode.
Clever. Find family. Kill entire bloodline. I like it.
Seriously, we're doing this? Okay, well, won't be needing that anymore, will I?
Ever get caught by your players with your pants down? Dungeon Alchemist lets you create wonderful maps for any encounter in seconds.
Oh, Woblin, that's a very impressive cheese collection you've got there.
Yeah, it is quite impressive, yes. But you know what's more impressive? This map I have to the fabled realm of
Goyak Ta, please take it and leave. Close the door behind you.
Mr. Woblin, I cannot help but notice that you have a secret tunnel underneath your cabinet. Care to explain?
Download Dungeon Alchemist, the AI-powered map maker, on Steam today.
I'm already back. Well, I'm back. Not already. It took me a minute. Sorry, I had to refill my water. And while I was refilling it, I realized that the water filter was like empty, so I refilled that. It was just like this whole thing. Oh my goodness, Anani. 35 floors, my friend. Oh my goodness. Pace yourself. Thank you for being patient with me. You can always watch the VOD later, Anani, to see kind of what I said, you know? The VOD's still available if you want to watch it. But yeah, man, this map is epic. I was really impressed with the overall scope of it. Heroic Arts, thank you for the kind words. Much appreciated. How you doing today? Oh, it was a Discord session. My bad. That's right. Blue Mage, welcome back. Unfortunately, no, you had to be there kind of. Those are had to be there kind of streams, what I call them. You know, like, so when someone tells you a story and they're like, oh, you had to be there. It is epic, Tabby. It's pretty cool. The creator of this map, Anani, is present in our Twitch chat right now. But they made this map and shared it in a contest that we call the Dam Challenge that we host on our streams. It's the stream that's opposite Saturday of this one. Today's is the Dam stream. The opposite Saturday is the Dam Challenge. Or they were making it as an entry for the Dam Challenge and couldn't finish it in time, if I recall correctly. So their map didn't get finished in time. So I still showcased it on another stream because I just thought it was so cool. Where are the cannons at? Here are the mortars, these ones. Nice, so they land where the divots are. Cool. But I always love showing off cool maps that our community members make, like especially ones that they put a lot of time into. I have to, you know, do my best to try and share it. Probably make your computer sizzle too. Wardian, I see you lurking. You better say hi to me. Where is the secret in the left tower? Oh, down below. Someone died. So you have Bill Cipher here on the side of your windows. Right, Bane? You did a great job on this, though, Anani. Good job. I really loved the abstracts here on the bridge, like the scratch marks, the claw marks, and the pock marks from the shots from the mortars. Really made it look alive. Like I was like, how did they do that? Oh, yo, those are abstracts. It took me a second to look at it and oh yeah, those are abstracts. Like it put two and two. I put two and two together really quick. I thought you had access to the decal tool for some reason because they look so good. So, in our D&D session right now, we basically are just about to kill this caster that was making doing some sort of ritual, and he was concentrating on keeping a slime at bay inside of a wall of force or something, like a prison wall of force. So that's kind of a bummer, because now it's out and we have to fight it. But we're gonna have to kill him, and then hopefully he doesn't alert anyone else, and then take out the slime, survive all that, and then hopefully take a break, like a rest. Might be able to do a long rest, because most everything we've encountered so far has been constructs. Only 2 living people so far, so I imagine we probably can do a small break and get away with it, though I could be wrong. When your players are in a dungeon crawl, do you allow them long rests once in a while if it's a really long dungeon crawl? Like if they've sufficiently cleared the area and like have, you know, barricaded themselves in somewhere? I know some DMs are for this, some DMs are against it. Lilandra, you say yes? You make special rooms for rest, so it's like the Left 4 Dead rooms where it has the locking sides and all the ammo and meds inside. It's really nice of the dungeon creator to leave long rest rooms. I'm just joking with you, Anani. But you are the dungeon creator. Oh my gosh, Blue Mage. Can't say that out loud. Honestly, though, Left 4 Dead is so good. It's probably one of the best games in like the last 20 years. This floor with all the slimes is pretty neat. It looks like you really set up a neat encounter for your players, Anani. And then I just love as you scale up, everything gets just super intricate, and there's like what the heck is this? Like a menagerie of some sort? Great lighting, by the way. Like, the lighting on this map is peak. Absolute peak. Gotcha. How did they get the gears that move? There are assets that do that. So if you look under our object menu, I believe under utility and engineering, there's some stuff. A lot of these in here actually move or have actions to them. Like, for instance, if you have a couple of these like Tesla coils by each other, they create a current. You could put two of them by each other and they make like an electrical current. But there are weird, like, you know, fire things, and there's gears in here down at the bottom. I know there are some items. There's lots of stuff in this menu. Maybe not in this menu. Where is it? Anyway. Stand by. There is tons of weird, like, artificer looking devices. Here, let's just type gear. See what comes up. Here's like some spinning elevator gears. Here's another, like, a weird random gear. This one is probably what they have up there. But these spin. There's several different ones. Like clockwork stuff. Great for like Eberron environments, steampunk, whatever. Yes, recently Asmodeus just shared some gears on the workshop as well. But each of these gears are like an animated gear set that they just turned on, and then they put them close to each other to make them look like they're all interlinked. What is this one called? Fan. These are fans instead of gears. It looks great. Like, it does look really interlinked. Yes, our asset importer supports many different asset types, STL, FBX, and GLTF/GLB files. So if it's, I believe FBX and GLB or GLTF, GLB files can be animated. So you can import all animated assets, and it can even have multiple animations. And our tool will recognize that and allow you to skip between them. I did not realize this was a slushy machine before, but that's hilarious. It's the good goo. A link just got shared with you, Tabby, about our asset importer. You can check it out. It goes to our wiki and has a lot of information about it. Be sure to bookmark that link for sure. Taste the ring. Man, these tanks are crazy. You did a good job putting stuff in them. I like it. It looks really cool. Where all the slush gets its flavor. Alrighty. That's fantastic, Anani. It's a really cool map for sure, my friend. How long did you say it took you to make this? And also, what's with the boss up here? I'm assuming this is just like a slime in a weird mech suit. You gotta fight it. Because why not? Or, you know, you gotta ride it like a bull. Either one works. Retro Noggin, it's a cool map, right? It's a fantastic build. It just is a really great showcase of how multi-level can really be taken advantage of, but also great lighting and a great use of unique assets from like the workshop. It's a really fun build. $75 hours? Oh my gosh. When I see the slime inhabiting the construct right like that, it reminds me of Hellboy. I don't know if y'all have seen the Hellboy like movies or read the Hellboy comics. But in the second movie, The Golden Army, when like one of their Hellboy's like compatriots, he's like essentially like what do they call it? It's like he's like a ghost vapor essentially. I don't even know what he was called. Honestly, I can't remember his name, and I can't remember what the term is. Oh, ecto. It's like an ectoplasm essentially, and he can put his ectoplasm inside of like structures or mechanical devices and manipulate it. So he's like walking in like a suit that's like a deep sea suit that's been altered for land. But when they take out these constructs that are like defending the treasure at the end or whatever, the constructs are just kind of the treasure. They get awakened and they're a massive army that regenerates and can't be killed. And they're fighting them, trying to take them out. And one of them gets knocked down and he inhabits the body and starts fighting as it. So he's doing a lot of damage. Pretty cool. You know, Tabby, when it comes to like advanced sculpting or 3D painting, I'm not necessarily the best person to talk to, as my main thing is the community manager. I don't do a lot of that, you know, as part of development or whatever. That being said, there are a few members in our community who are very diligent with asset creation. They understand it from end to end, and they're very, very, very eager to share their skills and knowledge with our community members. If you are a member of our Discord, which I see you are now, right, Tabby? What you can do is go into the question forum in our Discord, spin up a thread and say, hey, I'm trying to learn how to create 3D assets and I'm doing all this stuff. Tell them you're using, Microsoft. What is the tool you're using? Microsoft Painter or whatever. Sorry, 3D. I didn't see what. Anyway, Microsoft 3D Painter. So you could tell them what you're using and what you're trying to do in the file, type you're saving it as. And you can even share the file there and they can take a look at it. Asmodeus has some tutorials, but they're mainly geared around Blender. And Blender is a free tool, but it does take a little bit more know-how to dive into. So there are people in our community that can kind of guide you and kind of point you in the right direction. We have our wiki, which has a bunch of documentation on it. But I highly recommend the Discord and spinning up a question in the question thread, in the question forum. Just asking about 3D design and what you're trying to accomplish, and if anyone chimes in. But there's like a half dozen or so creators in our community that have shared about half of all the assets we have on the workshop. Some prolific creators who have shared like thousands of assets. Asmodeus is one of them. Swedish Cook, Sack. I mean, there's a bunch of creators who have shared tons of assets and know the stuff up and down. Awesome. I wish I knew more about it, and I know like enough to get myself in trouble. I know how to upload assets and stuff, and my wife, she's really good at making them. She makes them on her tablet. She has an iPad, and she'll scope them up and send them to me. So anytime I need something, I ask her to make it. I know how to do stuff in 3D, like sculpting, but I mainly use like Tinkercad. I do like practical designs for 3D printing. I don't do much that's artistic. You know what I mean? When it comes to that kind of stuff. I have 3 3D printers behind me. That's how I know anything about 3D modeling at all. But that's about all I know is basic 3D model. Anyway. So, moving on. This map is dope. Oh, I just noticed it is 2. So, does anyone have any last minute questions or concerns, feedback, suggestions, support inquiries, anything you need before we wrap up the stream today? Now is the time, because we are going to be wrapping it up. Toastic, thank you for the like. How you doing, man? By the way, I saw your DM and sorry I didn't reply. I've had a lot going on. You feel free to make that video. The only thing I can say is when there's like things like that where we don't necessarily encourage our community to do that stuff, especially anymore, because they kind of have to do it at their own risk. We don't really offer support for it. Like in the past, people kind of learned how to edit their damn files and do all sorts of things to manipulate the map to get around the limitations within Dungeon Alchemist. So when you start doing those things, just remember that, like, especially if you put a video up about it, maybe a disclaimer in it saying that, you know, Dungeon Alchemist can't provide support for this. If you start doing this and mess anything up, you kind of do so at your own risk. That would be my only kind of thing there. By the way, I didn't reply partially because I've been busy, but also I wanted to talk to the devs and see their thoughts on it. So it's kind of like a both, you know, I needed to speak with at least one of them to get their feedback, but also, yeah. Anyway, what you been up to, my friend? How's your streams been going? See, you are like a force of nature with your streams lately. It seems like you're always on. And that's a good thing. Got to be consistent, especially on TikTok. I think it's smart how you always have like a question, because that gets people talking, and then that gets more people talking. You know what I mean? Very smart for sure. That's primarily how TikTok works, is algorithmic and like interaction based. So it's like your algorithmic presence gets pushed up the more chatting and likes there are. Likes only go so far, you know, but if there's lots of chatting, it helps too. Yeah, that is like lowest common denominator interaction, but it does work. Like it's low hanging fruit, you know what I mean? But like it works. Like misspelling things is a great way to get interaction, because people love to correct you and be like, actually, you spelled that wrong. Troll farming, yeah, it is. There's another term for it now. Rage baiting is another one too. But yeah, I mean, it works. Like in the past when I was posting like something about like a rogue, like a rogue alliance or a rogue like clan or whatever, I was posted and I spelled rogue as rouge, and it like got so many interactions just because of that. So it's like just misspelling is a great way to do it, but it's like, I don't really like that all the time using that. But yeah, I get it. It works. I think asking people a sincere question is a great interaction tool, because it gets interactivity from those that are like, you want interacting with your stream, not necessarily those that are trolls or problematic. You know what I mean? I think it's smart, honestly, especially on TikTok. I'm considering trying it myself, but mostly geared around our stuff. Other platforms, it may or may not work so well, but it's kind of a hit or miss. But I think overall the idea is solid. Hey, Atlam, thank you for sharing all of the links and updating upcoming events. Appreciate that. Before we wrap up, we have some upcoming streams I just want to make sure y'all are aware of. We do 3 streams per week. 2 of our streams each week are multi-streams that are on all the platforms we're live on today, which are Twitch, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Steam, and Twitter. But and those are on Monday and Saturday. Okay? But on Wednesday, our Wednesday stream is called Office Hours, and that's held exclusively in our Discord. Our Discord server, links are going out on the various platforms right now. I cannot share a link on TikTok, but for those who want to check out our Discord, if you go to our website, which is in the link on our profile, dungeonalchemist.com, there is a link for our socials at the top or at the bottom with our Discord in it, so you can join our Discord server. But our office hour stream is at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, and what is it? It's 5 p.m. UTC on Wednesday. Our next stream, though, on Monday is Mapmaker Monday. That is a multi-stream like today on all our other platforms, and it is 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. UTC. And that runs for about 2 hours, 2 hours, 15 minutes typically. And I will be building a map live for y'all to kind of watch and check out and learn. We're working on our ancient cemetery, which is actually getting a lot of movement the last few streams, especially after the update. We got all the new headstones and gravestones. Now I have a lot more diversity. It's speeding things up because I was making them custom by hand before, because there was only so many to choose from. Toastig, current DA project trying to build a castle for a 40-year-old Texan vampire dude bro who was turned in the 2020s. What? So confused by that statement. But honestly, that sounds hilarious. So it's probably a combination between like cowboy and vampire chic. So it's like Jackie Daytona. From What We Do in the Shadows. You need like obviously things that would be like in a cowboy type environment, like a horns, like horns on the walls, like trophies and skins on the like bearskin rug or something on the ground, or a moose skin on the ground. Those kind of things as decor, right? Probably put a wagon wheel up somewhere. I'll be a Texan even when there's no longer Texas. That's what it needs to be. It's been so long since Texas was a thing, and he's been a vampire. But he was a Texan first. That'd be so hilarious. Anyway, this is what we've been working on, all these graves, and I've been kind of aligning the fences over a long distance using these like kind of tools we found on the Steam Workshop, because I noticed they were misaligning, and I was like, no, they need to be fixed. This helps tremendously. You made a poster. Where did you post it? Where did you post it, Anani? Let's see this. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Asmodeus, in your post. Can you add some context to that message you sent me, buddy? Yeah, and well, especially because I'm putting this grave together by hand. Like a lot of this, I just put these like plots in by hand, and now I'm going through trying to like make them at least look somewhat like there was some thought to the inside design. You know what I mean? And as I go, I'm realizing I'm gonna have to like just make things fit, but it's fun. Anyway, if you look over here, all these plots. These are like, I got creative and was like, okay, here's a dirt plot, here's some rocks. Here's another dirt plot with some rocks around it. Didn't have much options to use. Once we got over here, they're all like different headstones, every single one. There's like hundreds of varieties now. Oh, hey, Toastic, thank you for those, man. Appreciate the GGs. By the way, this is what we're working on Monday. More of this. Graves. And more graves. And if you think we're not going to be doing graves, you're gravely mistaken. Alrighty. Thank you everyone for being here. Appreciate you all so very, very much.
Is that
From Robin Hood? Is that what that is, Anani? Again, thank you everyone for tuning in during today's damn stream. Appreciate you all so very, very much. Had a lot of fun showing off castles and discussing castles with you all. Our next stream is Monday. I hope you all tune in. And if you need support between now and then, have questions, or just want to hang out with like-minded map makers, feel free to join our Discord. That's discord.gg/Dungeon Alchemist, or you can find it in the links in chat or through our website, dungeonalchemist.com. Our Discord is kind of 24 hours because it's worldwide, and you can get support from myself, staff members, as well as our moderators or other community members if you have any questions, concerns, or feedback. Anyway, thank you again for being here. Appreciate you all so very, very much. Again, my name is Mac, the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. We'll see you next time I give a damn. I'm going to run a quick Dungeon Alchemist themed ad and we're going to wrap up the stream. Mac out. Bye. I said bye.
But can it handle curves?
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 Dungeon Alchemist, the AI-powered map-making application for role-playing games, now comes with both round and diagonal walls. Create amazing professional maps for your players in seconds. Get it now on the Steam store.
Tabby, as long as you're filtered in the Discord, that's fine. Because honestly, remember, it's a family-friendly community. So we try to keep the Discord clean and keep our streams clean. So no swearing, nothing, you wouldn't speak to a child about, really. Because we want to uplift the next generation of tabletop gamers and give them a safe space to hang out. And, we want families to feel like they're welcome in our community as well. Anyways, thank you everyone for being here. Again, my name is Mac, the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. We'll see you next time I give a damn. In fact, the only word you can swear here on our stream is damn, because it's more of a joke, because our map files are .dam files, which stands for Dungeon Alchemist Map. Anyway, we'll see you all later.